Yeah, I remember working at a pet store, and then one of the guys that worked there, he got a mossy tree frog, and took that home. And I think it was in the reptile room, which is beside his kids' room, and that thing was like extremely loud. He had to get rid of that thing super quickly too. Those male
Yeah, they
frogs
just
will.
don't stop. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh, it was an experience, though. Sometimes it doesn't take you long to figure out that's not your species.
yeah.
Because it was in my house. I think it was in my kids' room. Uh, so
Oh yeah,
good
yeah.
times.
These.
I didn't even need to keep any to figure out it wasn't my species.
Frogs are just cool, man. I've always been fascinated with frogs.
I 100% agree, but they're cooler outside in the ponds when you go searching for them.
Well, and that's how I've always caught them. But the dart frog exhibits, I could see
Yeah.
myself getting into that. I mean, it's just so beautiful. I don't know what the upkeep is, but I get the attraction.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I think the
pretty
problem
good.
to me it's all the insects, and especially for like dart frogs it'd be like the fruit fly colonies and all the other things that I really don't want to do. Like the rats in my freezers, I don't need to change their litter. I don't need to feed them. I don't need to clean their cages. You know what I mean? Like
We
having
are
an
cut from
animal
the
that you
same
need.
cloth. Yes, I
There you
want it to
go.
be easy, and I like to talk about doing these things that require daily maintenance, but I'm gonna have to be retired. It's gonna be a different point in my life.
There you go.
Yeah,
The great thing
the
about
dark.
these carpets is you can walk away for a week, and they probably do better than when I'm in here bugging them.
Yeah, they. I think the only thing I carry over from the frogs is I usually try to keep the snakes kind of watered multiple times a week, kind of thing, just because I feel like animals like fresh water, kind of thing. But right, like snakes, you can leave for a week, probably even two, as long as you maybe have somebody just check to make sure your house isn't burning down and nobody regurged or something. You're golden.
Yeah, and I completely agree with the fresh water changes. Since I've got back into the hobby, I feel like that's been stressed more, and I think my animals have done better. At the very least, I've had a little more interaction time with them. Uh, but we've all seen them hit the water bowls after you put fresh water in there, and it's probably they're just expecting something new in the enclosure, but it is kind of cool to see them go drink.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's good to see that they're actually hydrating and not just like just staring at the water kind of thing. But yeah, with the I know Dom would get annoyed with the fruit flies because yeah, you gotta make those cultures and you gotta time them right, or else now I have no fruit flies because one culture is kind of in a down cycle before it's gonna kick back and it's like second wave. Well, you didn't make the new one in time kind of thing and it's still going, and then you got grain mites going, and then those just get everywhere. Like they're not bad necessarily, but like there's these little white mites that get onto everything, especially in your herp room, and then they end up in your they just like live in your herp room, and then like you're just cleaning water bowls, and you just like looking like a perfectly clean water bowl, and there's just little tiny white dots floating in the middle of it, and it's like it's like
All
oh my
right,
gosh.
you've convinced me. I do not want to do that. No, I don't want to culture flies. If I can't buy it frozen,
Right.
I think I'm getting on board with Dom now. So
There you
handy just
go.
to go thaw something out of your freezer. Uh,
It's it lasts forever, no care whatsoever. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. Like you're talking to me, in the end, you end up taking care of insects and feeders instead of taking care of the animal. And don't get me wrong, like the reason I'd want dart frogs is not really to have dart frogs, it's to have dart frogs and to cohab with other species in the cage with them. To me, that's freaking cool. Like
Oh
when you
yeah.
have that kind of setup. But I don't want to do the care of the feeders. Like, and you can't go to the pet shop once a day to pick up everything, right? Like you have to do the feeders. So
you
Yeah,
got to
for
to
be
me,
sure.
no.
maintaining some source colony at your house, and yeah.
Yeah, actually
I had a
the
tarantula that I just quit feeding crickets and just fed mice, and it made it 2 years without any insects.
Yeah.
And it was just so much more convenient.
Oh yeah, and like it's a tarantula, so worst case you just get some super worms or whatnot, and those are super easy to keep too. Like those aren't that big of a deal, right? They're good in their cup kind of thing. You can feed them a little bit extra veggies, but they're good for a while. But it's a tarantula, so what you need like three of those a month kind of thing when it's full grown. So you're not hurting too bad there at least.
I think some of that, Michael, is you just have this youthful energy that I remember. But I've also learned that, I got to pick my battles. Uh, so, man, good for you. You're figuring all that stuff out. But, man, I do like to keep it on track.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tony, I think it's more like just think of yourself 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Your collection was probably Noah's Ark, right? Like Michael is just experiencing and just exploding into everything. And now that he lives on his own, he's like, nobody can tell me what I can't have. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. He's freaking buying everything.
Well, there's
Keeping
not
it
many things
strategic.
in this world that we get to have 100% control of. And yeah, they're live animals, so there's always this uh, lack of control. But I think people should keep what the hell they want to keep as long as they keep it responsibly. Uh, and just don't be detoured from the complexity or the lack of knowledge on it. Heck, look what we've seen grow in the last 20 years just with access to social media, how much smarter we are with keeping these animals. So, Michael, good for you. In like 30 years, think about this conversation and you'll be like, yeah, you know what? I do like it a little easier on myself. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Well, we'll
I've
see
probably
after
got
these.
4 good hours of physical labor in this body a day. And so I got to channel it. I got to make sure it's worthwhile labor before I dive into it.
Give like 25 years, Michael's going to be a professional rubber boa breeder only. Nothing else but all the different morphs of rubber boas. Check. It's going to
I
be like
think
one weird species.
I think that would be awesome. Because and I've never owned one, but I hear that they're hard to come by. Uh, Not many
Yeah, there's.
people breeding them. Like you got to go catch them in the wild out in California, right? Mexico.
Yeah, I think there might be a few in Canada, but not really. They'd be out east because BC, you're not allowed to collect them, and that's the only place they're kind of native to. So you'd have to find some old school guys that had some from probably animals that got collected probably 40, 50 years ago now. So you have to really dig deep to find those. Like I'm not sure if Dom remembers Roy Stockwell, but I think he's probably one of those guys that had that stuff. Same with probably Huff, probably Tom Huff, probably had those too because he had every single probably boa species that you could find back in the 70s. But yeah, no, those would be fine. I would love to keep rubber boas. I love finding them in the wild, so it'd be cool to keep them. But I'm not even sure if I'd be able to find some like legally kind of like some stuff with like more like legal lineage to them kind of thing, you know?
It sounds like a great
Yeah.
project, though. I bet there would be a market for those if you could get them to reproduce consistently. Such a unique animal.
Oh yeah, for
It
sure.
definitely doesn't scream boa to me, uh, but I guess that's how they've been classified forever.
Yeah, well, I guess sand boas and rubber boas and that are, I believe, taxonomy wise. I forget it was Rob Stone or somebody was talking about how they're like. It's probably somebody else, but like talking about how they're not really boas, but they just kind of got lumped there for now. So I'm sure in the next 10 years somebody's going to do another reclassification thing, and they're going to end up being like their own thing off in a corner, kind of distantly related to actual boas and
That
stuff, which
that
will
could
be
be
neat.
you, Michael. It sounds like there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need some schooling for that.
Well, you just need a mentor and some gumption. Uh, but there's so many things that we haven't unraveled, and I think that's what makes the kind of keeping that we're doing so cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love the weird oddball stuff in the hobby kind of thing. That's why I kept the Bahama boas and I got the newts and love the Trans-Pecos rat snakes. I don't know. I just love everything. But I'm trying to keep
Well,
it
they're all cool. Yeah.
pretty narrow. Like I still only have under 30 snakes kind of thing. So I try to keep it pretty niche. Although if this Bahama boa goes, those babies are probably staying here for a while. Another
Yeah,
30
once you start
babies.
getting some litters, that changes real quick.
Yeah, here
Uh,
you go, Cody Joe. You take like 10, you just take them.
yeah.
You get them started.
How many snakes you up to, Dom?
I think I've reached my limit a long time ago. I'd say around 55 is my number of like adults and holdback. So, which is probably like 20 holdbacks, 30 adults. And then there's babies. So I never go over 55 because I find like it's my absolute max. More than that is too much. But during baby season, I can be over 100 babies.
Yeah.
So my largest season was like 130 ish.
Okay.
Last year was about 90, but they tend to all leave. Like right now, from last year, I think I've got about, I don't know, maybe 12 babies left, but 10 of them are holdbacks, you know what I mean? And then you slowly change your stock and upgrade it to the nicer animals, but I don't go above 55. And like we were talking earlier, I just moved and now I've got way more room, but I'm not buying one new cage. Like I don't want to grow because I've reached my max. I know exactly the amount of hours I like to spend, and more than that, it becomes more than just a passion and fun. It becomes like shit. I got to go do this, or it becomes too much work that it's not enjoyable anymore.
Yeah, it's a balance,
So
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, too much of a good thing starts to detract from other variables in your life, and it's tough. Uh, I'm an empty nester now, so things are different for me. I've got more free time, but still, you start pouring in a little bit extra, and it adds up. Uh, that's one of the biggest issues I've had in my dating life is all my girlfriends will tell me that my first, second, and third priority are my snakes. And I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but they can't take care of themselves, so they do need to be looked after. But I just find it kind of interesting because I feel like I'm doing great. I try to put out like about 10 hours a week labor into my room, and that involves some tinkering too because I enjoy just getting in here and kind of fiddling around, switching stuff up. Uh, but during baby season, that 10 hours can turn into 15 and 20 pretty easy, especially when I have to get up at night
If
to
not
feed.
more.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been, this whole last season I fed at night and, it really helped me with my feeding trials, but it was just a different time of day that I was used to being in the snake room. And so that did add a little stress, but I did ultimately come out on top. Uh, as you all know, the trials and tribulations getting babies started.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So much fun. See, like if I calculated, I'd say I've got about 5 hours of cleaning a week. And in that 5 hours, I do two full cleanings. I always do 2 full days of full cleaning and full water change. And then the key word is tinkering. I Some weeks I might spend 20 hours doing oddball shit, and other weeks might be 2 hours. But it's like, oh, this time I want to add perches everywhere. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to change this. Oh, I don't like that about the my room. I want to do this, and I'm spending countless hours just slowly improving it or making it more I don't know, more me or more useful for what I do. So
Yeah.
the tinkering is definitely probably more than the amount of time I take care of actually cleaning them.
But isn't it nice to be done with everything and feel like you can just enjoy your tinkering and you're not putting something off?
Yeah, when everything's clean, it's amazing. It's like,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like all is right with the world for about 5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I have my fairly small snake collection compared to like you guys, and then that's why I got like the extra fish tanks going. Although, yeah, if once I get like 1,000 or 2,000 Pac-Man frog tadpoles, I'm probably gonna be saying something different. Gonna have racks
And
of just tubs
Michael,
and sponge filters going in my snake room.
I think my collection's smaller than yours. I
Oh,
have
okay.
about 12 to 14 animals that are really in my collection to stay. And then I just got babies. I've probably got about 15 right now this time of year. So I really try to keep it real small. But heck, it's enough. Uh,
Oh yeah.
I really enjoy having different sized animals. I like the adults, I like the subadults, I like having the juveniles, and of course the neos. Uh, and one thing I've been trying to do is just have more uh, intermediate sized tubs that I can grow stuff out. Uh, because isn't that kind of what we want to enjoy seeing our babies grow up? So this is really the first year I've been able to not have to worry about selling stuff because I'm going to run out of space, and I've enjoyed that luxury. It's definitely a luxury.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm kind of finding that too, where it's like, yeah, I have a couple clutches of things, and I don't like really need to move it right away. Like I had the sub aux, so it was like, yeah, four babies. I'm gonna keep two of them. When I find
Yeah,
somebody to move them, I'll move them, kind of thing. No rush to wholesale them really. So this year
yeah.
when
If you got the space,
yeah, yeah, exactly. I try to always keep extra space. Like I have a bunch of empty cages, kind of thing, where it's like I'm not filling up every cage, and then but then that almost makes you like, maybe I could actually move this animal this cage, or maybe I can do this, or kind of thing. But usually, I don't love having animals on the bottom cage either, right? Like I hate crawling on the floor. Like I almost like having that bottom cage is just like a stand almost. But it's like I could put an animal down there, but if I don't need to, I don't need to, and I can just kind of leave it empty.
you're learning, brother. Those cages that are on the floor are not happening. Uh, Especially if it's anything that you got to wrangle. No, I'm too old for
Oh yeah.
that. I can't get down that low anymore for that long. Uh, that's kind of funny though. But I do have everything on stands, and it's a waste of
As
space. But uh, I'm not going to change it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then having stuff up high, right? Like you don't necessarily want to be have something launching out from above either. It's like kind of like head height, or you could just use it as storage, right? Same as underneath, you could just use it as storage. So it's like, yeah, no reason to like. I guess if you really wanted to fill up the room, you could, but I don't know. If I find like as Eric and Rob say, keeping less better kind of thing is which is what I'm trying to kind of go for, and I feel that you're kind of going for too.
Well, and I want to enjoy it, and so if it's a enclosure that's down on the floor or up above 5 feet, I can't see it. So I really want uh, to not get so gung ho about this that I lose the vision that was the reason I started was so I could enjoy it. But man,
Oh
we
yeah,
we
for
we
sure.
get obsessive. It's so hard not to keep everything. I mean, heck, I've pretty much sold stuff that most people would hold back because I just knew that I wasn't going to overgrow my collection. Uh, so good for my customers. It just means they'll
Exactly.
all catch up with me faster, right?
so when it comes to low cages, see the contrary for me is I like low cages. To me, it's the most important cages because it's the only place I can keep my diamonds or I can keep inlands. To me, I can't put them high up because then it gets too warm in the room, and I want them to be as close to the cement floor so that they cool down and their cages are automatically 4 to 5 degrees colder than everyone else.
Okay. I
So
was going to
the
ask.
dog,
So 5 degrees is what you'll have differential from the
again,
bottom to the top.
it depends how close to the cement floor they are. And
Yeah.
it depends if it's on a cage that's on a stand or things like that. But yeah, you could have, I'd say easily 3 degrees from top to bottom. But if you're directly on the cement, I can get over 5, maybe even in 6 or 7 degrees if it's directly on the cement floor.
Well, and I'm in a different situation because I just keep everything cold as hell. Uh, you better be ready for cold to be in this room. So that does keep me from getting into some other species because I feel like it's got to be able to tolerate what I'm doing. And I've got some stuff that doesn't have any diamond in it, and it got down into the 40s, uh, and was fine. Uh, and of course, that's what 4 or 5 hours, uh, a few days out of a week, but 60s constantly. The one
Hmm.
time I kind of keep outside is in the winter because I've got these big windows to my room and I just keep those things all the way up. So pretty much whatever it is outside is what it is in this room. And I've got fans that kind of pull that air in. Um, Other than having to kind of bundle up when I come in, it's my favorite time of the year, just experiencing them experiencing that cold. Uh, and I think it's kind of unique for me that I don't have to worry like you, Don, about having other species that I can't get cold like that. Uh, so yeah, I just bring it on. But where I live, it doesn't get cold very long. We have about a 30 to 45 day true winter where we're going to hit some below freezing points. Um, And so I feel like that just my experience, if we kept, say, diamonds, for example, at 50 degrees constantly for a week, that would be harder on them than 30 degrees for 6 hours a day, and then that warm up to 80. And I'm sure y'all would agree, but I think that when people start thinking about diamonds, they're just like, oh, I got to get them cold. Uh, and they can handle probably zero. You know, we've seen pictures of them in the snow. Uh, and as long as they can heat up, man, they seem to really tolerate it well. And when I say that, it's because they don't seek out the basking spot as readily as I would think they would. You would think a cold night the next day, man, I'm gonna be on that basking spot as soon as it turns on, but I don't see any urgency there unless they're in shed. That's the one time I'll see them hitting that hot spot.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. After even hearing how Brandon and how Adam's kind of figuring out keeping them outdoors now too, right? It's like yeah, they'll sometimes bask, but they're not always in a rush to do so, right? Like they know kind of what they want to do. Obviously, like sometimes animals can be dumb, but like for the most part, like they've lasted millions of years. These animals obviously aren't wild animals, but like they do have some instincts kind of going on and kind of have an internal kind of thermostat slash clock going that they kind of they
I
wouldn't be
think they
around
just
otherwise, right? So
adjust their metabolism so efficiently that they can tolerate so many things that we, you know, if I'm outside and it's 30 degrees, as soon as I come inside, if there's a fire, I'm going to go warm up. But that's because I can't slow my metabolism down to tolerate that 30 degrees. They're just so efficient at what they do. Uh, and I think that's why that this species has just stood out to me and it's been so much fun is because it's so different than keeping any other python or boa. Just that cold is cool, and I think it's so cool because it's just so different. If I grew up breeding rat snakes, it would probably feel like I've been doing the same thing uh, to an extent. But I grew up keeping stuff hot.
oh yeah, yeah. I almost feel like some ways like how I think indigo guys might keep it almost more like that, right? Where they don't I don't think indigo breeders actually fully brumate their animals because I think they do more of the diamond python of maybe not warming them
Okay,
up as much, but like because their breeding season is December, like November to February kind of thing, right? So like you can't just like throw them in a shoebox in the brumation room, right? You gotta they're like in Florida and even pine snakes too. I know we brumate pine snakes and the northern populations of pine snakes like they definitely go into more of a brumation, but like the indigos like they're getting basking during the day, right? And then they go down to freezing or pretty chilly at night and they go for tortoise burrows. So I would say like if you're keeping indigos you could probably keep diamonds, or you're keeping diamonds you could probably keep indigos and like southern pine snakes, and even more like I'm sure West Texas stuff honestly could be a like obviously it gets chilly there, but it's West Texas, right? It probably warms up during the day, and some of that stuff probably isn't as solid into the brumation. And some parts, as talking to Brian last week, some locales are, oh yeah, they'll go no matter what. And the Davis stuff, no, like those need to get cold. Like those get cold in the winter, and they need to
right.
stay cold for 4 months, kind of thing. Just kind of
It
neat.
makes me wonder, Michael, if you could really do it either way. You might even be able to really brumate a diamond if you brumated it at 58 degrees and didn't let it get colder. But I think kind of more what they do in the wild is they'll just get cold at night, cold, cold. And it gets cold in Sydney. It gets cold in the Blue Mountains. Uh,
Oh
but
yeah.
then they'll find a way to warm up every few days. I'm just discovering all the time that they're just a lot more durable than what we think they are.
Oh yeah.
And and
It's like this
and
Stan
maybe a lot
Churus.
of the yeah, well, Stan had his way of doing it, and I think we figured out that the reason it worked is because he did have that nice warm up every day. Uh,
Oh yeah.
but it's just fascinating to see diamonds and diamond crosses just be so tolerant to the cold. Uh, just attitude wise. the juveniles, they wanted to eat when it was 60 degrees at night. And I would get them that cold. Uh, and I don't know about y'all, but just this last year, I quit heating my food up. I just let it thaw out to room temperature, and these snakes don't care. Uh, I don't know how many times I've soaked babies, little fuzzy mice in hot water, or put a hair dryer on them, all these little things to get these animals to take them. And I just have discovered this year, and I had some troubled feeders, but just feeding them at room temperature, if they were going to take it, they were going to take it.
I think for me, the warming it up in warm water is not just for temperature; it's for convenience. You know, like everything's
Okay,
frozen. If I put it all in
right,
hot water, within 20 minutes they're ready to go. Right, room temperature unthawing a medium or a large rat will take you what 3-4 hours,
sure.
if not more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
and I do try to be preemptive with that. Uh, and I have discovered after thawing thousands, tens of thousands of rodents, that if you put those rodents in a, a tepid water, they will really thaw faster, thoroughly, than they will if you put them in a hotter water. Hotter water just creates the hotter outside, but it doesn't seem to get them to thaw out completely as fast. Uh, I don't know where I heard that little trick, but I kind of felt stupid because I'd done it the other way so long and just really never dug deep to figure out the best way to do it. But if I don't think to set them out the night before, then I will put them in water that just feels a little bit warm to me. But it would definitely be way too cold to take a bath
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of, I think I do that where like I'm used to doing it kind of more warmer, but then I still usually give it a couple hours kind of thing. Like pinkies, they're ready in kind of like the 20 minutes, but like for some reason I usually like to give them a little bit, and maybe half an hour, hour in, I'll kind of squeeze them all and make sure they're kind of starting to loosen up a bit, and then I'll give them another 20 minutes just to make sure. Although I think, yeah, yeah, I would agree with you though, right? And then you don't have sogging wet rodents, but you just got to be kind of preemptive on
in. And
it,
you don't
right?
want
And then
to,
you don't have poop kind of circulating, right? Because when rodents die,
right?
they defecate, so they're not like sitting in their own urine and poop kind of thing the whole time either when they're thawing. So maybe it makes them more appetizing.
Well, and
see,
if
for
you
me, I
overthaw
feel.
that, oh, so hey, go ahead, Don. I want to hear your take
Go
on
for it,
this.
Tony.
Well, I kind of forgot what
So
I was going to say. Oh, over thawing, and then your animal just rips up the prey. That's
yeah,
no fun for anybody. So
that
that
happens
is,
sometimes.
Yeah, that
yeah,
seems easiest with I guess when you like if you were to like throw frozen straight into like maybe not boiling water but still like really hot water, especially with like pinkies and like
right.
even
They
sometimes
cook
adult mice,
fast.
right? Like their stomachs are a little thinner, right? And then they just go if you kind of do it too quickly.
Yeah, we've all done
So
that, and it's hard for them to swallow.
yeah, so for me, I'll use a tiny bucket just for pinkies. Everything else, hopper to bigger, will go in one gigantic bucket, and I put boiling water or really hot water from the tap. I put it in there, wait about 3-4 minutes. I mix everything in, I dump it. I do that about 3 or 4 times for two reasons. One, because as soon as you mix it, the top of the water's warm. As soon as you mix it, you notice the whole thing gets cold instantly.
Yeah,
And also, it cleans all the rodents, removes all the poop and all the stuff that are on them, and it just makes for a much cleaner rodent to feed out and to handle after. So I find
yeah.
I tend to change the water probably about 3 times, maybe even up to 4 times. But a large rat is ready in less than half an hour.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
So
that's
it's
fast.
that makes sense. Yeah.
I waste a lot of water, but I feel like how like the first time you deal with your rodents, your water's like yellow, brown, gross, right? So I like doing it a couple of times, mixing the animals in there, a nice little stew, and then you get rid of the water in there.
That'd
But
be some good perfume to just spray in your
there
cages
you
if you
go.
were doing some scenting. Um, but yeah, so to that, I keep it all in bags because I just don't want them to get wet. Uh, so that does take me a little bit longer, and I have to confront that a little different because I'm not submerging them. Um,
Yeah, but you see, dealing with water, I've got water all over my floor. So I'll feed one whole stack of cage, and I have tons of paper towel, and I go and I wipe the entire floor, and every single time. So I'm wiping water off the floor because you can't take out a rat without it dripping everywhere, right?
Right.
So it's the downside where I can see your side. You're probably not making a mess everywhere, right? I throw water everywhere all the time. So
Yeah, I just
there's
have
advantages.
I have to be heads up. Like I'm thawing out stuff right now to feed some of the big girls tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, kind of thing.
But
Where
it
we all do it differently, and it all works in the end. But I can see how each side has its pros and cons because I do almost like a in between of Dom kind of thing, and probably what other people do, where you like I'll usually change it like at least once or twice, but then I'm also doing it for longer because I'm not as on top. Like if Dom were to keep it warmer, they're probably gonna thaw faster, but then you also have the you don't have to deal with water all over the place, or you have to try to like grab the old towels and kind of tap them down a bit and try to at least get some of the water off, which is what I usually try to do. Even though I don't think animals really care. Like people talk about subox, oh you can't feed them wet prey items. I don't know. Mine are pretty fine. I haven't had an issue with mine.
Yeah, that seems odd to me. Is it the hydration that's the problem?
I don't know. Well, people say that with rosy boas too. Like some people say that you can't even keep rosy boas with water, but I don't know. Like subox and rosy boas, like Craig and guys like that, keep them down in Florida, no issue. And I'm pretty sure Craig keeps them with water. I think it's more ventilation, honestly. I think it's more how people are actually keeping them. Like if you keep it in a bin with no ventilation in Florida with like a massive water dish and no fans going in the room and you live in a high humidity place, well, maybe that's more of the issue and not really the fact that it has water kind of thing. So I don't know. Maybe there's always other stuff that kind of goes into, I think, how some people are having issues because like we don't know how customers kind of feed their animals or keep their animals, right? So we can never fully control that either.
Well, I'm sure that there have been some pretty crazy ways to thaw rodents. So hopefully, people that are listening, maybe that has answered some of their questions. But it just was kind of comical to me that I've been doing it so long and I've spent so much time thinking about all these little intricate things about keeping, but I've never really taken the time to figure out the best way to thaw. So, uh, and
Oh,
it's,
for sure.
I spend
I
so
think
much time doing it.
I think it's a much needed conversation that probably not talked about enough kind of thing, right? It's a basic thing, but sometimes we go off into these stratospheres and these super niche topics on whether it's Morelia or gray-banded king snakes or corn snakes even, right? And then when the basic thing is how do we all get food ready? Because you kind of vaguely hear how you should do it, but I think we all have our own like little ways we do it, which is always neat to see, right? And for new keepers, like it's always good to hear kind of how other people do it, and it gives you ideas on how maybe you could do it better, or if you can just keep doing what you're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, just what fits your piece of the puzzle the best, and how many animals you have and what size prey you're throwing out. But I think it's worth thinking about and hearing some other people's experiences, and there may be a better way to do it that might save you a little time.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I should probably hit on our sponsor, or unless Dom has more to contribute to this.
I was just gonna say, if you've like, I fed yesterday, and feeding is about 60 rodents. I'd need a table to lay all that out. It's easy, literally just a 6-gallon bucket. You put them all in there, and if I'm not in a hurry, I'll just put lukewarm water and forget about it for an hour or two, and then just change it before. So I don't know.
Yeah, it works.
Doesn't it smell though? Like, it doesn't smell to just unthaw it on the table.
I will thaw it in the garage,
Okay.
and it'll be in a plastic bag. And
All
if,
right.
if when I'm thawing small stuff, they'll be in a bag, and then I'll put those in like a Tupperware container, and then I'll put those in my laundry room. Just because the small stuff thaws so fast.
Yeah.
But a jumbo rat will take, 6, 8 hours. It's like thawing a Thanksgiving turkey. You got to set it. You got to set it out a while. Uh, but no, it's just kind of funny to talk about that. Again, just quit heating up stuff after it thawed room temperature. And to think that I have thought these snakes needed this stuff to be fire hot, my whole life, because I'm trying to, this whole thing about them being frozen thawed, they have figured out that this isn't alive a long time before they decided to put it in their mouth. So if you haven't ever tried to feed room temperature, I suggest try it. It might save you a little time, and for me, it hasn't. I haven't had any bad experience with it.
Yeah, for sure.
And if anybody wants a trick, the popcorn setting on a microwave works really well for a rat.
Man, you got to be brave to do that. I'll take your word for it. You can send me a video of it, but I'm not putting a rat in my microwave.
I'm when I go to Michael's place, I'll film it for sure. I'll do it at his place.
That would be hilarious. I love hearing the warnings of people actually trying to do that.
I can
People
see
don't know I'm not. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just going to say I can see the microwave instructions on the back of my cold-blooded cafe rodents. For 2 pounds of rats, thaw at 50% defrost for 8 minutes. That would be convenient. It may be coming, guys. Don't laugh.
Well, if you can de-thaw like frozen chicken, I don't see why you couldn't de-thaw a rat in a microwave. You probably could use the defrost option. I've never tried it, but cooking it, I can guarantee you will not work.
Well, the divorce rate would go up, I'm sure, if this became a thing. Uh, I think there's a
Probably.
lot of wives and girlfriends that are like, all right, I'll let you keep these in the freezer as long as they don't touch anything. But once you start putting that in the microwave, I'd bet all bets are off.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of that original Jeff Murray episode on NPR from, was it 2015, when he's like, yeah, and then you take the saucepan and you put the anole in the saucepan and you try to
Yes,
hide it from your wife.
yes.
And then my wife caught me, so now I got my own saucepan.
I I think I did make some lizard soup uh, after hearing that, just to try it. Um, and I think my um, what I figured out is it's just more mess than it's worth. Uh, you try so hard to get these babies to trigger on a scent, and most of the time you just got to wait them out. So as I've gotten a little more experience, I've discovered that you really don't have to jump through all those hoops. You just got to wait,
I
be patient.
100% agree. I find over the years I've realized that I don't care if they don't eat; they'll just gonna wait longer, and they all eventually eat. If it takes 4.5 months to get the baby carpet to eat, so be it. It's not gonna die, and if it does, well, it was not meant to survive. But I'd say on 100 babies, I tend to lose maybe one a year, sometimes two. To just terrible feeders that just never got onto it, and I don't know. To me, it's almost like an acceptable loss. Like when you think about it in nature, they're not all eating, they're not all surviving. There's maybe 5 to 10% of them that'll make it to adulthood. So I think
Yeah.
if we have a percentage rate in the 90s, to me, I think it's very acceptable. And I don't know, should you even keep them going? Should you be force feeding the crap out of animals that don't want to? Like, if they're not adapting to captivity, are you not better to breed the ones that adapt and eat right away and don't have any issues? Like,
Yeah. I just think for some species they kind of do need it, right? Like some of the
yeah,
West Indian boas,
yeah.
like Fordi, those things have to be tailed kind of thing for
But for the
6 months to
species
a
that
year.
eat well,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah, that's
species
fair.
that we have no issues, right? If you have a jungle carpet that all of them eat except one is a huge pain in the butt, and you spend a year force feeding it, will you breed it in 5 years? You probably shouldn't, because you have a chance of passing that trait down, right? Like, you should probably breed the ones that are eating well. And if we always did that, then we'd get rid of the non-feeders slowly, because being good feeders or feeding on, what is it, European white rats or whatever they call them, getting our species to eat a food source that is not theirs is a heritable trait over generations and generations. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's an interesting point. I think it's hard to uh, really. You just got to go with your gut. I've had some that were slow feeders, and I felt like it was more of a stress issue. And then once they kind of came out of that, they would even catch up quickly with their siblings. But I have found that one tool to kind of expedite that is a little soaking. I think it can do the same thing to the metabolism that food can. And so when we can kind of trigger that metabolism a little bit, then sometimes that can get them to start to hunt. Um, but getting hatchling started is just every clutch is different. And, I feel like I got a beat on it after one season. And then the next season, it's like, I'm feeding a whole different group of babies that have a different stress level, that hunt at different times. It just seems like every one of them has a little nuance to it. And so that's what I've got to do is crack the code. Uh,
Yeah.
but I did have a twin that was born at like 6 grams, so incredibly small. It looked like a ringneck snake that I would find around here. And it was so small that I immediately started to assist feed it as soon as it came out of the egg. I didn't think it had enough strength to shed. And either way, it bounced back. And by the time it was in its fifth shed, it had kind of caught up to its siblings. And I did end up selling that snake to a friend for a considerable decrease in what it would have cost otherwise. And he hasn't had any trouble with it. He said that's been the best snake. I think he's going to try to breed it this next year. Uh, so to kind of lean into what you were thinking there, Dom, this might give us a little anecdotal experience with that because 6 grams for a carpet python, it was alarmingly small. And I didn't think it was going to make it. Uh, and it really was one of those deals where you just didn't, the whole yolk was still in the egg. You've seen those. But being a twin, it was off to a shaky start anyway. So,
And even talking about twins is definitely has a hereditary factor. Like you breed a twin to a twin, chances are you'll get a lot more twins. We had one female that I used to breed with Shan all the time, and every year she would give around 25% of the clutch would be twins.
yeah,
It was ridiculous. Like she
head to
had
head.
so many twins. So it's I don't know. It's definitely it's got to have some kind of a thing. But see, when you talk about feeding things that don't want to eat, I have one example of an animal. So about I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years ago, I finally successfully bred my first or popped out my first albino granite carpet python. I was so happy. Anyway, it came out,
Nice.
died 3 days later in the bin. I was so freaking unhappy. So nice, but not so nice. 4 years ago, I popped out a second one finally from like a double head to a double head. So happy that one survived. That one eats. It is the worst of the worst feeder. I still have that animal today. It is almost 4 years old. Do you want to know what it's eating right now?
Small mice.
Pinky rats.
Okay. You got it on the
It
rats.
will
Good.
not. It okay, but it's 4 years old, and it is barely bigger than a neonate. It's about 18 inches long, the size of my pinky, and it is horrible. It will not eat anything else than a pinky rat, and it only eats once at a time. So, and it won't grow. So now I've been trailing this little tiny albino granite for almost 4 years now. It'll never breed. It literally has no purpose. Like, and it's not. I can't get it to eat anything else bigger. I've tried ASF. I've tried hamsters. I've tried gerbils. I've tried chicks. I've tried them all. It'll eat rats, but it eats a pinky, and there's nothing in a pinky. It's a water balloon. So, and you know why? The only reason I did it was because it was an albino granite. Like, and I had it 4 years ago. Do you know how hard it was to make that? And in the end, I've
Is it a
been limping
male?
along this snake. No, it's a female actually.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah. It'll never breed. I'm still keeping it, but it'll never breed. It's going to be a pet for life, only because it's an albino granite.
It'll be your.
Well, I feel
It'll
like
be
that's
like this
why
is
we
my
don't
display
see a lot
carpet
of,
python.
we don't see a lot of snows. We don't see a lot of albino granites. I think that you're more likely to have issues just based on what I've heard with combining albino with different genes. Um, and I'm hoping that these albino Bredli that are now on the scene are just gorgeous animals, and really hoping that that project takes off. But just hoping they'll be stronger with that Bredli blood in there.
I was going to say, the only thing I'm going to say, and we're definitely going to have a hybrid talk in this conversation, is that you cannot call it an albino Bredli. It is wrong. It is incorrect in every single way. You might as well call it an albino Darwin, because it's as incorrect as calling it an albino Darwin or albino Bredli. It's
What would you call it? Yeah.
Well, what's the percentage? It would be a albino Bredli Darwin cross if it's a 50-50. Right?
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
I would definitely
I guess they could have
highlight the
coastal,
percentage of Bredli in that, and I think that would be a very important piece of information to label that snake with. Albino, 50% Bredli, and then if you know whatever else, great. But at least there's your starting point.
Yeah.
I've gone on this rant before, but it's a really big pet peeve of mine.
Or before you go on the rant, I should probably say our sponsors before we get too far into this. Sorry.
Now I'm all excited.
I know.
All right, well, welcome to episode blah, blah, blah.
Welcome to episode, I think it's 39. And I think Cody Joe will be 40, even though he technically was like episode 8 as well or something.
Is he coming back next week?
Yeah, we got Cody Joe next week, and then we got Anthony Purleone the week after. He'll be fun. I know you're not a turtle guy, Dom, but Anthony's just like, I'm not sure if Tony's watched any of his stuff, but he's like super positive. He does a ton of good stuff, like in mostly turtles and tortoises, but like as a part of like organizations that help wild and captive and super rare species and all that fun stuff.
I'll try.
It'll be super cool.
That's very cool.
Oh yeah.
You can lead that show, Michael.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
do the infomercial so we can keep going.
Sounds good. Alrighty, everybody. Reptile Rejects is proudly sponsored by Cornell's World. Cornell's World has some of the best cages in North America. They are one of the leaders in custom PVC and glass terrariums. They can ship anywhere in North America, and honestly, if Greg could figure it out, he could probably ship anywhere else as well. But yeah, they carry all your reptile supplies from ReptiRad heat panels to vivarium electronics to spider robotics. You can get your herpstats through them. You can also get your anything Exoterra, Zoomed, Arcadia, as well as cleaning supplies like your good old Chlorohex, as well as actually if you live in Calgary you can get feeders from him now too, because he now carries live feeder insects and frozen rodents. So if you are in Calgary you can stop by the shop and go check it out, as he now has kind of like a little showroom. So if you don't feel like going to your local pet store, you can just stop in Cornell's World. And I'll just hit him up ahead of time because the Google Maps doesn't necessarily take you right to his door. But yeah, go check out cornellsworld.com and place your order today. Also check out WCRE.ca, the Western Canadian Reptile Expo. The next show will be April 18th and 19th in Calgary at the Acadia Rec Center, and that'll be an awesome show. There will be a VIP hour where you can take advantage of anywhere from 10% off to even more, depending on the table. Go check out their Facebook as well as the website for what deals are going on, and pre-purchase your tickets for VIP hour or just your general admission tickets so you can beat the line. But yeah, go check it out. It'll be a fantastic show, and well, hopefully see you there because I'll be there. Alrighty, Dom, you get back to her.
I think your infomercial keeps getting longer and longer. Like that one was like 7 or 8 minutes. Holy shit! Like
I'm just trying to be informative.
It was a great segment. I want to check this place out. Yeah.
You should. I just feel like we should be asking him for like double the amount of money. Like maybe give us new mics, give us new headsets. Make it worthwhile. Jeez.
Oh,
Um, so my rant, and it's something that really, really annoys the shit out of me. And I really want to get into this, Tony, with you regarding hybrids, because I know you're into that, and I want to make it clear before. I love them. I think they are gorgeous. There are so many gorgeous, gorgeous mixes, cross hybrids, whatever you want to call it. But my pet peeve is how everybody drops the species that is not the one that'll sell. Example, it's a diamond jungle jag. It's a jungle jag. It's an albino Bredli. It's an albino inland. How come do you only say the type of animal, but leave out the complete other one? Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a jungle jag, it's a jungle coastal jag. Like there's if you do the cross, there's as much of the or it's a 75% jungle, 25% coastal. I never understood why. To me, it's misrepresentation, and it's making people think that it's a pure jungle if it's a jungle jag, or it's a pure Bredli if it's an albino Bredli. Anyway, that's my pet peeve. I just wish that people would not drop the other locality or species that's in the animal, right? If
So
it's
we're
a
yeah, and I think we're
yeah,
like-minded on that. Uh, when so say I'm posting a reel and I want to kind of showcase a caramel diamond caramel diamond coastal. I will either state it like that, uh, or I will state caramel diamond. But what I'm trying to do there is just to get kind of to like your point, draw people in because a lot of times this is stuff they haven't seen before. Uh, and then as but when I sell a snake, it comes with a birth certificate that breaks down the percentage of blood all the way through from both the parents to the hatchling. And I think that that's kind of the key with this hybrid stuff is we have to document, we have to have lineage and even pure stuff. If I don't have that stuff, I don't think it's pure. And I think we just need to be very diligent about how we document our stuff. And without that documentation, I'm gonna assume it's not pure. Uh, but I think that as far as representing the blood, if you are breeding crosses and you don't know how much is in there blood wise, then that presents a problem. And the way I've kind of structured what I do is when I buy something that I'm going to cross into, I'm going to know 100% what's in it because I need to, I want everybody to know that. Uh, and I think it's very important. And if you're going to sell one of my animals or breed one of my animals, and then you're not going to continue with that same documentation, I don't think the animal has the same value because you're just speculating. It's just whatever you say is in there. Yeah, I can choose to believe you or not, but I think documentation is the key with all this stuff.
so I would definitely agree with you, and I think having a lineage of everything and what's in there definitely raises the value. But in the case of a designer, and I would consider hybridizing two species to bring in differentiation to me as a designer snake, right? You're
Sure.
trying to create the most beautiful thing you can. But when you're trying to produce the most beautiful animal you can, does it matter if there's 12.5% diamond or there's 25% now? Does it matter if you breed it back to a jungle diamond jag that you don't know the percentage and you're breeding from a, I don't know, 25% diamond, 25% coastal, 50% jungle, and you're breeding that back? You're going to end up with different mixes, but in the end, I'm not sure it really makes a difference if you produce a gorgeous animal and you don't know the exact blood percentage. Like I'm asking you honestly, like does it really matter if the animal's gorgeous?
So I think to a lot of people, it doesn't. I think they just want something that looks stunning. And the great thing about my animals is to whether you like them or not, they're unique. So, uh, but to me that matters because I want to see what essentially with my diamond crosses. I have some that are primarily diamond and coastal, and then I have some that are primarily diamond and jungle. Uh, and I think as I continue to add more diamond to that, I still want to represent the other blood that's in it because it's just fascinating to me. And I think it gives a little value to the animal that you really know what your ingredients are. Now, if you start combining it to stuff that you're not sure of, then that's on you. But I just like to know what I'm putting uh, in my mixing bowl, so to speak.
So, Tony, before we continue on the hybrid talk, I want to know, do you keep any pure species? I think you keep a lot of diamonds, right? Like pure diamonds, or is everything a little bit
Yes.
of a.
No,
So let's.
so and these crosses are a gateway to pures. Uh, I have been very fortunate to be able to keep in touch with a lot of people that buy my animals, and it is astonishing how many people will come buy a cross from me, and then in 2 weeks go buy a diamond. Uh, it's just you just start to get that fever. But yes, I'm attempting my first 100% diamond pairing this year, and so super stoked about that. I think it's going great. It's a little different, but mom seems to be doing well, and they locked up a bunch, so could maybe have already had an ovulation. Uh, uh, just to kind of, I don't want to get off on too big of a tangent, but Dom, your male carpets, do they typically go into shed when the female ovulates?
Oh, it's a really good question. I would say that it does happen. I wouldn't say it happens all the time, though.
I think I'm about 50%. And so the
Yeah.
male that I used with my 100% Diamond Girl Farah, he shed like a month ago. And then I go in there and I'd given her second meal, and he's already right back into shed. Hasn't eaten. Uh, that could be breeding stress because I really feel like these males are not appreciated for the work they're putting out. Man, these dudes are limp, tired, sad. Uh, but he went into another shed cycle, so I pulled him. But I have seen that several times and haven't kept stats on it. But I would think about 50% of the time I see a male will go into shed when that female ovulates. It happened with uh, a uh, a pairing I'm doing with the 75% diamond to a 50% diamond female. He went into shed, and I was able to kind of acknowledge that because I did see her ovulation, which obviously makes that a little more creditable. Uh, but yeah, I think there's something to that.
I think there definitely is. I've never gauged it or measured it, but I've seen it often. And more I think about it, it could make sense, right? When the female stops attracting the male or throwing those pheromones because all of a sudden she doesn't need him anymore, it would be the right time for the male to do that. The only thing is, often while I'm breeding, like for the past month, I keep separating the animals to feed them because sometimes if they're not going to ovulate, just feeding them, getting a couple of extra meal gets them going. But I also feed the males. I feed both if they want to eat.
Yeah,
So
same.
sometimes feeding that male is enough to put him into shed as well. So which, like I've got a male right now that's in shed, and I'm trying to think if that female is gravid or not. She might be. Maybe I should go check because that might be an indicator. But it's honestly it's a good observation, but it's something I've never really checked.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting, and I've heard that before, uh, and I've just never seen it consistently enough. But there may be something to that. Um, heck, even the females can vary. I had a girl last year that didn't have her pre-lay shed until 30 days after she laid her eggs. So stuff can happen. But I've seen at least it happened enough where I'm starting to scratch my head a little bit and thinking this is something I need to watch out for.
Yeah, I've had all those weird things. Like I've had a female do her prelay and then 15 days later shed a second time, and I was like, I don't even understand what's going on. So I don't even know where to count from there. And she laid eggs 22, 23 days after the second shed that happened 2 weeks after, which made no sense at all. And I've had females not shed, and I've had females shed, and they always lay at day 35 instead of 21 to 28 days. You know what I mean? So, and I've had some go over 40 days. So sometimes, they don't all read the books, and they
Right.
kind of do their own thing.
No, that's a good point. We want to make a cookie cutter recipe for all this, but sometimes it's just there's going to be variables, and
The one thing
all
I
the
can say that is, yeah, the one thing that's not a variable though is the one time that that female does something bizarre, she will repeat that every day. Like I remember having that girl that lays at 40 days. She laid for me the next year again, and she laid at 41 days or 39 days, and it kept going like that. And those anomalies, they tend to repeat it for the same one. So it's been something that I've adapted. Like when I have a girl that's like completely off and I don't get it, then I'll go check the previous years and be like, oh, she lays at 14 days or she lays at 40 instead of the right days. You know what I mean? And I found it to be pretty accurate that way.
well, and that makes me wonder about that girl that you've got. I think it's a zebra that drops like 30 eggs every time she lays. Um, and she's always produced that bigger clutch. And didn't she have a clutch that went without even being paired one season?
So she's dropped now. I have to check. It's between 6 or 7 clutches. Her first few clutches were gigantic. She did hit 2 clutches above 40, and I'm talking about 40 fertile eggs. And after the, but back then she was gigantic. She was my son's snake, and he fed her a jumbo rat every week, like clockwork. And she was about an 8 or 9 pound snake. Like she was big, and well, because of that, obviously she popped out a lot of eggs. I have slimmed her down since then. Now I keep her around the 6 pound, which she's still around 8 feet long, right? So for a jungle, she's a big girl, but she's not like she used to be massive around. Now she's maybe like half her size from before. But she's still popping out clutches. The last 2 clutches she's had were in the 25 range. So she's going down, but
Still
she's
big.
had
Yeah.
they're
That's a
still
lot of
big,
babies.
but she's produced more eggs than I don't know. I challenge to see how many. What's the most amount of eggs that a python has laid? Because I keep track. I probably
It
could
sounds like
go
a
count.
McIntyre question.
Right.
Well,
I call Ryan
I
Young.
couldn't
He
compete
probably
with
know.
Owen. I couldn't
Yeah,
compete with him.
and back in the day when I bred ball pythons, I remember uh, always seeing that however many eggs that snake would lay, she would consistently lay a similar amount. And so even smaller females would have a larger clutch, say 9. Oh, and then I'd get bigger females that would have 6 big eggs every year. So I wonder how much of that they're predisposed to, or it has to do with health, size. Uh, I just think it's pretty interesting. And obviously, you have an outlier that just lays massive clutches, whatever you did. I was kind of wondering if you waited until she was an older animal before you bred her. Uh-oh, I lost sound.
Nope, I'm muted. I screwed up. Contrary, I did the. Can you still hear me, Tony?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, it was me.
I was trying to
I
unmute
was.
you.
So on the contrary, she was bred at a very young age because she was gigantic.
Okay.
So she was fed so much, so she started breeding really, really young. And as I said, she keeps going, and she's gravid right now again. And if I don't breed her, she'll still produce. So the year that I didn't breed her, she had, I think, like 36 eggs and 3 or 4 fertiles, which were zebras, and she's a normal, so it was from the pairing the prior year.
Wow, that's
So,
fascinating.
uh, which I thought was really cool because it means that I don't know how many people have documented retained sperm in carpet pythons, but she retained it for 13 months.
Wow.
So it's
Well, I've always heard it was possible, but I think your situation may have been the only one I've heard firsthand of.
yeah, and it's like I can confirm it 100%. I didn't pair her. She was with no one.
Yeah.
My goal was 100% to not breed her, and I barely fed her that year because I wanted her to slim down, and she still gave me a clutch. So yeah,
She's just a good breeder.
uh,
Yeah.
well, she is. I just honestly, I'm afraid I'm gonna kill her. Like she's eventually gonna die. Like you can, to me at this point, I feel like I'm rolling the dice, right? Because you know how many people tell you like you're lucky if you get two clutches, and you're really lucky if you get three clutches out of a girl. At what point is it too much? And we're not talking about like I don't know, a spotted python or a children python that are made to pop out babies every year because they're kind of like the feeder python, right? A jungle carpet or bigger carpet pythons are not seen as they're not about popping out tons of animals to feed all the other animals. They're so I don't know. I think she's on borrowed time. And every year I thought I was going to lose her last year from her clutch, and she bounced back and she's crazy healthy. She's nice and big right now, so she can definitely
Is
have
she
another clutch.
looking? Is she looking feeble? Are you sensing that she's not as strong as she should be?
No,
Okay.
she's crazy. So she's a really aggressive, mean animal. She's one of
Okay.
those, and she still smashes her face on the glass every time I pop by. She still comes right out of the cage. She's the animal. She's my most fun animal to work with in my collection. She gives me a challenge every day, and it's been like that since day one. So she'll eat every single time. She never misses a meal, and she also copulates every single year. She's locked up almost every day. She has locked up 30 to 40 times this year so far. I don't even document it anymore because it doesn't matter. They're just playing at this point. Every single night they're locked up.
Wow.
So
Man, sounds like a good breeder. Uh,
yeah,
but
it's
it also is a little odd. She's so stressed. You think that might be somewhat detrimental to her reproductively, but hadn't slowed her down.
no. 75% of all my windows have papers over her except a little corner, like just the top 2 inches, so I can look down. And I have no choice. That's the only thing I can do. So she stops smacking the glass, and again, it's an anomaly, right? I don't know about you. I don't handle my snakes every day, but maybe 5% of them are aggressive. The rest are all fine, like no issues.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm the more I keep, the more I don't handle. Uh, it seems to me it's detrimental to their stress level. Now, I'll get them out and take pictures and videos while they're young, but the older the snake, they usually don't get handled. If I can clean the enclosure with them without taking them out, I'll do that. Uh, it's just not what fascinates me, the handling aspect of it. Uh, I think they tolerate it fine, but I don't think that they enjoy us handling them.
yeah, for sure. I agree with you guys on that. I feel like some species tend to be more tractable than others, but then some it's right. You get the animals that are like, "Hey, I'm probably never going to touch you unless I absolutely have to, because you're just going to lose your mind," kind of thing. I have a couple pine snakes like that, and then Bahama used to be like Dom's female, where she would, but that was back when she was just in my bedroom. So the only time I was in that room really was going to bed every night, and of course that's like feeding time. So you just hear the thud on the plexiglass. But now she's in the main snake room. She's honestly like kind of chilled out a bit. Like she perks her head up. Like she still wants food every time, but she's not hitting the glass really at all anymore, which is kind of nice that she's kind of getting used to me. Although I think, well, she was paired up this week, so maybe that's going to help it too. Or maybe it's going to make her
Yeah,
worse. I don't know.
hopefully that get her thinking about something else. That's the only time I don't worry about getting bit is when everybody's breathing. And even then, once I get my snakes out, they're all very easy to handle. But they're just intimidating in those enclosures. they kind of take over. You'll know what I mean. It's like, come on in here, I dare you.
Oh yeah.
So, sorry, I was going to change the subject. Mike, do you have something else to talk or?
No, no, you go, Dom.
So, Tony, I kind of want to go into. So, what is your collection? Do you want to describe us the animals that you keep? Because I'm pretty sure I
Yeah,
know about what you have, but so we can kind of gauge where we're going to go into the conversation. Because I'd like to talk a bit more
sure.
about you and what you do.
So when I started this project back in 2017, I started with some diamond cross animals, diamond coastal cross and diamond jungle cross. And I had some pairs of those. Um, and they essentially have created my collection. Uh, I've reproduced those successfully, uh, and just been holding back some females every year. Uh, and after I started that project in 21, I got into diamond pythons, and so I acquired a colony of about five of those. I think I'm just up to six now. But essentially, what I have is I've taken caramel, zebra, and we already had the jag, but thrown that into diamond blood and not only diamond blood, but on one project diamond and coastal, and on the other project diamond and jungle. And so, really been fascinating to see how that diamond blood interacts there. Uh, so collection wise, I'm about half uh, crosses and about half 100% diamond pythons. Uh, but love it all. I kind of thought for a while I would, once I started to produce 100% diamonds, I would kind of fade away with the crosses. But the crosses have just been so fun, uh, and just a great way to bring people into the hobby. Every year I'm amazed at the people that will buy a snake from me that have never owned a snake before. Uh, and that's just a big opportunity. And hopefully I'm able to bring in some people um, like Eric and Owen. You just never know who you've got on the other end of that phone call. That who you're getting started. Uh, but I can tell you that breeding 100% diamond pythons will be a huge accomplishment for me. Uh, I felt like that was a a very far to reach goal when I started this in 21. Um, every year I felt more comfortable about it. But it's been a challenge out here where, I'm in the desert. It's hot. I think it's very unlike where diamond pythons live. It's probably more similar to where a Woma python would live. Um, but God willing, we're going to do it this year. And then who knows what I'll get into after that. But once I see those babies, I may be like, all right, I'm keeping all these uh, and starting a whole different project. And everything you get into kind of leads to something else. You can only pretend you know where you're going to go. But man, I've just been able to pop out some amazingly beautiful snakes, and man, it's just been a great ride.
Yeah, actually, there is one snake that I've seen you post multiple times. It honestly, it looks like my ocelot zebra jungles. Like it's got the perfect little round circles with the dots everywhere in them. I'm trying to think, but it's a diamond jungle cross that you've produced. I imagine it's
Yeah,
diamond jungle zebra, maybe. I don't know,
yeah, it's a
but
zebra. It's probably Star Child, and she's gravid right now. So really excited about what she's going to produce. And I bred
I
her to a reduced pattern diamond, so that those should be cool.
nice. I could show you pictures of some of my pure jungles, and honestly, she looks almost identical. Every time I see it, I'm like, God damn it! It makes me wonder if mine's a cross now, which it isn't. But when you
Well,
look
but
at
they
it,
do
I'm like,
produce ocelot, and I don't really add that to what the name of these animals because it's not a gene that I bought into. It just seems like the diamond blood creates more of that look. Uh, and just the way that it starts to break the pattern down, it creates some circles, and it does it with zebras unlike anything else. So it is kind of interesting, but those probably the same kind of alleles that are in jungle carpets. And once you put that zebra gene in there, you know, all bets are off. You don't know what you're going to get. But I do think it's a really cool gene, and that you're able to reproduce it consistently is even cooler.
Agreed. So, Tony, you probably know I'm much more of a purist than a hybrid guy, right? Or a cross guy. So, I want you to sell me on it. Why is it better? Why is it that you do this? And I'm gonna repeat it before. Like some of the most beautiful carpet pythons that I've ever seen are crosses. Like Don Patterson's mutt of all mutts that he creates are the most gorgeous, beautiful snakes I've ever seen. They're insane. I've seen what you produce too. They're insanely gorgeous. I'm a purist. I don't like mixing. So sell me on it. Why is it that you do? What makes you want to create more the Frankenstein and over the pure?
Well, I don't think that I like to subscribe to such labels. I feel like that I got into diamond crosses based on some influences back in the early 2000s. And so um, I just don't think it's a real black and white deal. And Don, I think we can all live harmoniously together. Uh, but I can't wait to produce 100% diamonds. But I do find that these crosses are stimulating to me. You know, if anybody that likes to hatch eggs likes to see what's going to come out. And when we open those eggs, or when those eggs pip and open on their own, I'm not a cutter. Uh, we can't wait to see what's going to happen because you just don't know. And so I think the excitement is a little higher on my end when you're combining some different genes and you're adding more diamond blood. There's even more of the unknown. Just like this last season, I bred a reduced pattern diamond to a 50% diamond that was a caramel zebra jag. And I produced, the clutch didn't go great. Ended up with 5 eggs. One of them ended up dying right out of the egg. The other four, 3 of them were solid colored snakes. And based on the caramel gene, I was kind of able to figure out that 2 of them were caramel and one wasn't. But that reduced pattern gene and the zebra gene kind of produced the same thing as a super zebra. Uh, they're starting to develop a little different now, but hey, I was glad to discover that. Little did I know, Don Patterson has been doing this. I don't know how old his animals are, but he produced some patternless zebra reduced patterns that he's calling the midnight line, but his don't have the caramel in it or the jag. Uh,
I think that
but
was the last time he was on NPR. I think they brought that up because he had that. It was the first time he bred it, right? And it was a solid black animal. I'll just pull that animal up again. Uh,
Do you know what year that is? That's what, like
I think
2018
it's
or even
2018, because that's like one of the first podcasts I ever watched. Because I think I
okay.
saw
Well,
that episode pop up and I watched it, and that's what got me into everything.
he posted one this year that I
Yeah,
assumed was a 25. Uh, but he was selling some. He shipped some to Casey. So we had those here. Oh yeah. Isn't that a cool looking snake? But
that's
oh yeah.
whether
insane.
you're
Like
into
again,
them or not, we're going to find out what some of these genes are going to do. And I'm really stoked to find out what this reduced pattern diamond is going to do.
I didn't even know this Delilah line thing was a thing. I thought he only had German stuff. I assume this might be some sort of cross, but it almost looks like
that
a.
is
Is it?
that's not a
Or is it?
German.
It says
That to me looks
Delilah
like a
line.
German line.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's just like that look of that. He called it that. I don't know. Where is it? Oh,
So
I didn't even know he had albino breadlie though. That was one thing I didn't know. I'm not surprised though.
He probably
albino
has a lot of
Darwin
stuff that
family.
we don't know about. And I think he likes it like that.
Yeah. I know he has a couple things that he hasn't really told people yet. Like he bred Timors a couple of years ago, but he has some other rare python species that only one other person has kind of right now. So eventually he'll probably show those once he breeds those too.
But Don, just to wrap up to your question, I think that they're all snakes with just different paint jobs, and I think that my biggest concern is just being a good ambassador for the hobby, uh, and just fundamentally doing what I want to do, but do it in a way that I can be proud, and hopefully years down the road, people will be talking about the snakes I produced. Uh,
Oh, and I just want to make it clear, I have zero issues with it. And I love the look of it. I love what people do. It's not for me, but I still love it, right? And I completely agree with you. The yard is huge. There's room for everyone, right? So I have no issues with it whatsoever. I just have my own lines. It's like when you talk about green tree python. It's everything's about the designers. To me, it's sad. Like the designers are gorgeous. They're some of the most beautiful snakes I've ever seen. But when I shop in Canada, why is it that I can't find pure anything? Everything's mixed. So it's like, to me, I feel like there's nothing wrong with it, but you need to have people that produce just the pure ones, right? Like if there's no more diamonds left because we've all crossed them, then that's a problem. I think there's nothing wrong if both of them coexist, but you know, anyway.
No, I agree. And I think to your point, there's an opportunity for non-designer green tree people to really build that part of the hobby up.
Oh yeah.
And I know there's people doing that. I stay pretty close to the what's going on with the green tree pythons, and so sorry about your unfortunate situation, Dom. That's terrible. Uh, hopefully many have learned. Uh,
Yeah, and it's not getting better. If I told you the story keeps going, she's resurfaced.
Oh
She paid a
yeah.
couple of
Yeah, I
bucks,
saw that.
and now she has redisappeared for multiple weeks. And has anyway, it's a long ass story. This person
well, I
is
just
just
hate that you're having to spend that negative energy
uh,
towards that. We all do this to have fun, and man, I like keeping it positive. Uh, it's
I
remarkable to me that we have access to all these people like yourselves that have the same interest, and we can tap into each other, and we can talk about our experiences and share our collections, and it really blows my mind because 20 years ago it wasn't like this. uh you just didn't have the connection, and so I really have a lot of appreciation for that. But Dom, something good's gonna happen for you. uh that deal, that's a shit show, and I hate that because it makes the whole hobby look bad. We need people doing good things in this hobby so that other people want to get in it. We don't need people ripping us
we
off.
all learn from our mistake. I learned the hard way on that one. But so by curiosity, why white cages? It is rare to have people with white cages. Most people get them black. I'm looking at your
Martin,
background.
so when I started getting into back into the hobby, Martin Rosemont always had white cages, and I love how his animals showed up in pictures. And so I thought that these white cages might help it kind of operate more like a photo box. Uh, and so I really just wanted to enjoy the animals more. I like the way his looked, and man, the white's been awesome. I just love it, and it kind of has this laboratory feel, like I'm walking in the snake lab. Uh, so yeah, but you can blame it on Mr.
It
Martin.
looks good. Like it looks
Yeah.
good. I'd be curious more about like I don't know. Do you see the poops better on white, or does it
So
does it get
I
dirtier?
I use puppy pads. Uh, and one funny thing about these puppy pads, I haven't had any problems with them. Really, they've been great. And the reason I went to those is they're clean and they keep the smell down. When they shit or piss, man, it soaks that up. Uh, and these snakes are in the room right next to my bedroom. So, we just want to keep stuff smelling as good as possible. Uh, but these males have been so aggressively breeding this season that they have torn up the puppy pads with their spurs. And I think that is fascinating. I went in there to clean some cages today, and I don't know if y'all have ever used those puppy pads, but kind of a smooth, cottony surface. That cotton was bunched up. Uh, those males just go to town.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised honestly. I remember, was it Keith and Owen back in the day talking about llamas and the llamas tearing the females up with the spurring and all that. So that's kind of neat. That's not. I guess like it's cool to hear it actually like play out like in like you can actually see that it's happening because normally like I
They,
guess we wouldn't see that happening with other substrates, right?
these diamonds, the males are just so one tracked. And I've bred boas, I've bred ball pythons, uh, bigger python species, but these things are thinking about one thing. And if you put them near a female, those hooks just start going. It's fascinating to watch. I got some footage of it this year, uh, but just another thing that makes this hobby so incredible that I get to see that. Some of the most beautiful snakes in the world are tearing up puppy pads with their used to be legs. Uh,
It
it's
sounds like
cool.
you've got some pretty good males.
You know, I it this whole window thing, man. I was trying to do a little experiment, and after I started hitting about 50 degrees, I would take one of my males out and I would put him in with the female every week. And early in the season, he's scared. Uh, he would immediately hit the other side of that cage. And it took exactly 4 weeks, 4 trials of doing that, and threw him in there, and his attitude changed. He was no longer scared. He was all over this girl. Uh, and that's about the time that the females started courting the males. And you've probably seen that behavior, Don, where they open their vent and wiggle their tail. Um, so just probably for the first time since I've ever been breeding reptiles, I felt like that I just really locked into that time where that hormonal change had happened, and that they just really would go from Dr. Jekyll to to Mr. Hyde. They just change personalities, no longer worried about food. It's all about breeding. Uh, just truly fascinating.
So, talking about breeding. So, to me, it's obvious when you're breeding a diamond on how to do it. It's obvious when you're doing a spring breeder or a winter breeder, right? But with your mixed crosses, how do you decide whether you're breeding it as a winter breeder or as a spring breeder? Because if you've got a 50%, let's say, diamond and 50% coastal, 50%, whatever your percentages are you dropping them down to 50 like a jungle? Sorry, like a diamond? Or are you dropping them down to 65, 70 like a jungle, right? Do you see how? So, how do you decide that?
So what I've kind of figured out by just each year letting it get cooler, opening those windows wider, I just treat them all the same. Now the diamond crosses, I will start to pair earlier because I'm afraid I'm going to miss my window with those. Uh, but with my 100% diamond female, and I have two that were ready to go, and I just bred one. Um, I just waited. I waited until it warmed up enough to where I felt like I could throw her a meal. And when that happened, it was all based on just my nighttime lows were starting to creep up a little bit. Uh, then gave her a meal, threw the male in there, and they both started going like they've been breeding all for the last 2 months. And again, I'm flying in the dark. It's my first time to breed diamonds, but after watching that behavior, I probably could have done the same thing with my crosses. Uh, but they can handle this cold. Uh,
You,
Again, I
I
know
was
we
going to
talked about
ask
it
that.
earlier.
But would you not be afraid of putting, let's say, a 50% jungle, 50% diamond to 50 degrees, even for just a few hours, a few nights here or there? To me, like, a jungle is not made to be able to take a minus 50, minus 50, geez, 50 Fahrenheit, right?
I was, and I wasn't as worried about the crosses, but I have one of Ish's red jungle uh, jag coastal crosses, gorgeous animal, and I was worried about that snake. Maybe I need to send that off to somebody before I cool. Um, but I just kind of winged it, and I let everything get cool. Uh, so this whole room got like I was talking earlier, were a few nights down in the 40s. Uh, and again, these snakes were not they weren't seeking heat like there was an urgency. It just kind of leads me to believe that we've concocted this whole thing in our mind about keeping these snakes warm. And I think it's just a lot of old habits die hard. And as I
Yeah.
learned to kind of push my collection a little bit, uh, I haven't had a sick snake. Uh, they just rock and roll.
How do you actually heat your? Are you doing ambient, or do you still have like a heat mat or heat tape or heat panel in there with them, or what are you doing for
So
heating wise?
yeah, good question. Each cage has individual heat. With the diamonds, it's all basking bulbs that are on 8 to 9 hours a day. And then with the crosses, they either have heat on 24/7 underbelly heat tape, or it'll be on 12 hours and off 12 hours. The ones I run it full time on are the females that I'm breeding. I just want to
Do you
always.
dim it at all at night, kind of thing? Do you use the herp stats to like keep it
No,
hotter and then
it just
still
shuts
cool it, or
off.
no? Oh, okay.
No, it'll just shut off. It's either off or on.
Okay.
Um,
And with the
so yeah, they can
what?
handle it. In that red jungle jag I was talking about, I would come in here at when it was 40 degrees and it's not even on the heat. It's up. I've got it in a shoebox rack, and it was up. It was up perched. Uh, so they're pretty tough.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of a way to test your animals that has been set out there, but that people don't do is that you stress the crap out of them by bringing them really, really low in temperature. Because if they're sick or they've got something going on, the low temperature will make it go off. So what I can say is that Tony, you probably have really healthy animals. If you can take your carpet pythons down to 40 and they're still fine, damn, I wouldn't bring my collection down to 40. I'd be scared shitless, man. I think I'd lose half my animals.
It's different. It
So,
it hits different, and I've kind of gradually done that over the last 2 years that I've been at this house. Again, just kept opening the windows more and more. And there was a few days that it got down to almost zero outside, and I just got so comfortable that I didn't go close the window. Uh, they're just built for it. But it's really cool when you see it happen and you're like, oh man, I didn't kill these snakes. But not only did I not kill them, they just didn't miss a beat. Uh, so
Oh
I
yeah.
encourage you to drop it more. I tell you, when I've the best breeding success I've had has always been when I got my stuff colder. There was one year I'll never forget when I built my standalone snake room, converted a garage, had a mini split in it, no windows. I insulated the garage door real well. I could really control temps. And then so I'm setting my nighttime drops to 66, 67. It's primarily focused on the ball pythons. My jungle carpet's bred, my Brazilian rainbow boa is bred, but the ball pythons, I was hitting about 50%. And when I had those in a room that I could open up a window and get that draft in there, just always much higher percentage of reproduction.
Yeah, I think there's even a ball python guy out in Ontario. He's actually, I think he's on the city council. And he breeds some other cool stuff. But yeah, I think he does like a week long like brumation on the ball pythons. Where at the lowest they get down into the 50s for a day or two, and then like it's just like a short little like quick spurt because I think he found it out during like a winter storm or something where the power got knocked out, and after that like all the females went. Right, it caused them all to cycle like kind of right away because they got that like quick little kind of that they need to help really trigger them to go, which is kind of neat, right? When you think ball pythons are kind of like corns, where they're fairly domesticated almost, and like they probably would go, but they all are on almost like their own cycle, so you kind of have to figure out what cycle they're on. But it's almost
Right.
easier when you tell them what cycle they're gonna be on, kind of thing is how I see that. Just kind of
Well,
neat.
to me, it's more of like a seasonal thing, and I want to just get these snakes to fill each season. Uh, and so summer's not hard because it's just hot as hell out here. We got air conditioner blowing all the time, but we don't have a big difference in our nighttime lows and our daytime highs. There's just not much variance there. But in the fall and the spring, and that's when we feed a lot, is when the we get that variance back, where we start to have sometimes 40, 50 degrees between nighttime lows and daytime highs. And then we get to the winter when we shut off food again, and then we're starting to see that gap close. We may hit 60 degrees, and it may only drop to 40. So um, I think that seasonal keeping, I think, helps get these snakes in that reproductive cycle. And
Oh yeah,
this was
for
probably
sure.
my most successful year, and just everything clicked at the same time. Every male started breeding at the same time. Every female started being more receptive of the males. So I think that seasonal approach is kind of doing what you're saying. It's getting them in that cycle.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's always nice when they all want to go when you kind of want them slash expect them to, right? So with your heating, like, so you keep them with lights in their enclosures with the diamonds. Like, what bulbs are you using? Are you just using 25 watts, 50 watts? Are you changing them depending on the time of year? What are you doing with
They're
that?
25 watt, and I run the same thing. I'm glad you said that. I need to order some more. But these are the bulbs that Stephen Ashley told me I needed to use when I bought my enclosures from Focus Cubed. And so I've just set it and forget it. Uh, but I do need to order some more and have some on hand because I do have some that are about a year old now. So thanks for
Oh yeah,
bringing that up. I need a backup.
yeah,
That's one thing
yeah.
you learn in this hobby is you need a backup for everything, right?
Yeah, I keep one snake with a bulb. I keep one of the male Bahama boas. I'm growing up with one, and it's just awesome to see how he, like, no heat at night and just the 25 or 50 watt depending on the time of year, and how cool the room gets. It's like, okay, I kind of need to bump it up to a 50 for winter kind of thing just to make sure he gets that. But
I
like with
think you can turn your basking spots up in the winter. Uh, that makes sense to me because the as the ambient decreases, it's going to already make that hot spot a little hotter, right? And so it's kind of cutting how far that bulb's projecting too. So
yeah,
uh, I will kind of bump those up a little bit, especially if I see the females really basking centered under the hottest spot. Then I'll start to
yeah,
crank it up a little bit. But I can't see myself buying another carpet enclosure that was not set up to be on a basking bulb. It
what
feels very natural.
what fixtures are you using? Are you using like a normal, just like ceramic light fixture that you could get from like Home Depot, or do you use like the Arcadia ones?
Yeah, let's see if you can see that right there. And the light's off, but uh,
Oh
again,
yeah,
Stephen Ashley, all I had to do was plug this thing in. That's how I like it.
oh yeah, yeah. I
It's
think
hard
that's
to
just a
say. I
normal
can see it blurry.
fixture. I
I
think
can't
Yeah,
quite see inside.
because the Arcadia ones come down quite a bit more, which is like kind of annoying. But yeah, they like those are almost better because like it keeps it up tighter. So if you like, you could technically, if you know how to wire stuff up, you could easily just put the flat pan on and then get your ceramic this light fixture, so you reduce the fire hazard kind of thing, and put the guard over it. Or I know some people don't even keep guards over them, kind of thing. But but yeah, no,
yeah.
that's like
These diamonds will
fantastic.
get up and hold on to that mesh
Yeah,
sometimes. That's that eager response to heat, like they're up waiting on it. Uh,
yeah.
so I would hate to have a bulb without some kind of protection on there. Uh,
Yeah, I
and
don't
I'm
think they
not
would
worried about.
coil on the bulb because they would be definitely too hot. But I think when I could definitely see them coiling on the mesh because it's just a touch cooler kind of thing. Obviously, like middle of the day, they're probably going to be less likely to coil around it when it's super hot, right? But yeah, no, that's super neat to see, kind of thing.
And we're all in the prevention business, so if we can prevent a problem, man, that's always the best way to do it. So I learned early on that you need to buy good enclosures, spend money on good equipment because that could very well save you money and some heartache in the long run.
Oh, for sure.
And it's just better to show
Totally.
your animals off in something cool. Yeah, Dom.
So why bulbs over radiant heat panels? So, and the reason I'm asking for my diamonds, I don't find I have rooms to put bulbs, so I use radiant heat panels. But why do you have? Why the preference for you?
Um, I've never used radiant heat panels, and so I'll tell you my perception of those is that they can generate a lot of heat. Uh, but again, just my perception. I've never used them. I like how these bulbs don't create a lot of ambient heat other than where the bulb is directly pointing. So I can keep my ambient cooler and have that heat source affect my ambient less.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Like,
if that bulb malfunctions, I'm worried less about that than I would if the heat panel malfunctioned.
yeah,
And
I think
I've
like
melted
any.
snakes, and so if you've ever melted a room full of snakes, you really want as little heat in that room as possible. Oh, so
I think radiant heat panels are really not that dangerous since you can lower the maximum power, right? So like all my radiant panels are on max power of like 40-45% on the herb stats. So really I'm not that worried about the whole melting aspect if you want to call it. Um, but in my case, I use radiant heat panels because my lower cages are only about, I think they're 16 inches high. So if I wanted to put a bulb in there,
yeah,
there's just no
yeah,
room,
you
right?
really need 2 feet, right? Yeah, I've got enclosures that are 18 inches, and it's just not tall enough for a bulb.
yeah,
But
for
hopefully,
sure.
I'll be cycling those out. I think that these enclosures really enhance my enjoyment of these animals. Just get them in something
Oh
that
yeah,
looks real cool.
I find that
But
too.
it's
Right, just the
expensive.
natural
Uh, yeah,
way the snakes move in the enclosure and how they bask, right? Like even snakes that like honestly, I'm sure if I kept a Kenyan sand boa with a basking bulb and a bit more of an intricate setup, like they'd probably come out and bask a little bit, or at least like you'd see their little head poking out, probably trying to get little bit of heat, and then kind of thing, right? Like it's just cool to see how stuff acts with more. It's like nothing's gonna emulate the sun 100%, but it's cool to give them that opportunity to be at least as close as we can provide to that. And then it's better for us as a keeper because we get to see the animals do more natural kind of behaviors and different behaviors than just being in a rack.
oh, 100%. And I'm sure they could do it on a radiant heat panel, but these bulbs, the temperature directly under the bulb, say, will be 90 degrees, and then there's a gradient on these flagstones that I have that you may be 85, 2 or 3 inches away, and you can kind of see them strategically getting the heat where they want it and how hot they want it. It seems to be a nice option for me, and it
Oh
just
yeah,
feels like it's the sun.
yeah,
In my mind, that's what they're doing. They're just going out laying on the rock under the sun.
yeah. I want to see roughy keepers do like a reet stack with roughies and basking balls and stuff. That'd be cool. Because I
That is
bet
a
your
cool
roughies would just
species.
jam themselves in there at like whichever level they want to be at, right? And then like obviously some will do something different, but like because roughies are boreal, but they're also more of like an Angolan in terms of like they're still on the rocky ledges as well. So I feel like they would just jam themselves in the reet stack.
Some of those females are pretty big, man. You'd need to get some pretty
You'd have
thick
to make
really stack,
a
yeah.
good side restack, but it'd be still pretty neat
Because
to
like
see.
my big girl she's the size of a carpet python. Like
Oh yeah,
she's this big around. Like
Like I'm sure carpets would use them too. Honestly, like if you
Yeah.
even if it wasn't like a 10 level restack like you would for monitors or a gurney, like you still make like a multi-level kind of shelf thing that you can just pull in and take out of even just PVC. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know. I like coming up with like these odd ideas that probably would work, but you still have to put them to practice to see if what
Yeah, I'd
you
like to
kind of
see
see
that
would
in action
happen.
for sure.
Yeah.
What are
Tony,
you go Don?
go
Dom, I was
for it.
going to ask you a question about what you were most anticipating to produce this season.
Uh, well, the ones that I most want are roughies and diamonds. So my roughies have been together. I've got a trio, and they do a lot of cuddling and nothing more. So I've been feeding my two females pretty heavily for the past 2 weeks now, hoping that it might make them go. I don't know if it will, but I might end up with just a fat snake at the end of the season. Right now, I can't get him to court. The diamond pythons, I have a pair. They are 2022, so they're small. They're big. They're ready, but they probably could use another year. But I've been cycling them completely. I actually have not paired them yet. So because I just recently moved, like we were chatting earlier, and my old house, the coldest I could get it in there was 64. I couldn't get it anywhere colder than that, so I sent him to Shan's for the winter. He's brought him down all the way to the low 50s. I think he even hit 48 at one point. And now they're slowly creeping back up. I think he's now around this like mid 60s up. So now they're ready to be paired. The only problem is he lives an hour away, and I need to find time to go get him.
Oh, okay.
And so
Oh,
I
so
can
you're gonna
pair
bring
him.
them back? Yeah.
Oh, I'm bringing him back. I just couldn't cool him because I didn't have a way to cool him because the wife would not let me pierce a hole through the foundation to bring in cold air into the room. All things that are resolved now because now I have a new snake room that is considerably bigger and has a exterior window in a basement, which means I can literally let as much cold air as I want. So I can cool my own diamonds next year. But for this year, I'm a little late to pair them, and they're still not at my house. I got to go pick them up. But I told them, you're not allowed to put them together. All you're doing is bringing them down from 64 to 50,
Okay.
back to 64, and then I'm taking them back. So I'm still counting it as mine if they do go. But honestly,
Well,
I
he
don't
did cool
think,
them, so he'll forever be involved in this breeding.
nah.
I hope he gets a baby or two.
Don't make Shan's head inflate. He won't fit through a doorway anymore.
It's a process. I'm sure you say it all the time. It's not about just putting two snakes together.
Yeah, it definitely is a process. I feel like I'm a little late because I haven't paired them yet, and I still need to go pick them up. But honestly, I don't think they would have went this year because they're 2022s, right? They're 4 years old, or so. The female is big enough, but she doesn't have that wide head yet. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna pair them anyway, but I don't think they're gonna go.
Well, the
Yeah.
girl I bred this year really swelled up last season for me, uh,
Yep.
and I elected to not breed her. And then again this year, just amazing how big she got just building follicles. So I'm feeling like if she goes, she's going to go big. Uh,
I
Kind of
hope
made
so
me
for you.
think
I'd be pretty
of that
jealous.
female that you've got. Just I almost thought something was wrong with her. Where I got her out and I palpated her like she had something that was stuck in her intestine. She was just so thick. Uh, I'll have to send you guys a video. I posted a reel on it, but the perspective was a little off. But she was as big around as a um, oh, I'm trying to think, bigger than a Pringles
Softball?
can for about like a small softball, if you can
Okay.
imagine.
Size.
But just thick for 10, 12 inches, back in that lower third, and it just struck me as odd. So hopefully everything's okay with her, but she hadn't been
The
fed
really
heavy.
Yeah, the really big ovulations, I compare it to like feeding a snake two jumbo rats, and you're like, oh shit. and like that section is so big, but it's just a little bit lower down than
Yeah.
when you feed them. But sometimes it's insane. That ovulation is incredible.
That's a good sign. That'll be cool if those go for you for sure. I still think
No.
Dom's roughies are just gonna go when they want to go. Like maybe you end up with a clutch in June kind of thing, right? Like Owens went at two separate times when he got his to go, right? So they might not even want to breed for another 2 months. So yeah, you'll figure
And I don't
it out.
even
They'll
know
breed when they want to
how
breed.
cool you would get those. Or is that a like 65, 60 degree
I
ambient in the
treated
winter?
them I treated them the exact same way as carpets. I brought them down to about 64, and they've been doing that cycle since they were 8 month old. So they've been through the entire cycle of just like a winter breeder. So I was hoping this would be the year, because they're 2021s, so they should be ready. Like they should be able
That's a
to
cool
go and
species for sure.
yeah, it'd
Uh,
be cooler if they actually locked up and produced eggs, but they are pretty cool.
You'll
and you
come
know, I'm
home one day
seeing
and
some.
there'll be a clutch.
Yeah, I mean, they just may not be very conspicuous. Lazy breeders sometimes won't lock very long. Uh,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it could be. They cuddle all the time. Like they're sleeping on top of each other all the time. So
that's
who knows?
might be sneaking it
That's
in there. Like the first year I bred the Kentuckies, like I didn't see them lock once, and then she grabbed it and had a bunch of good eggs. So I don't know. They might
Such
be
a nice
sneaky the first
surprise.
year,
Yeah.
and then after this, you might see them lock every time, right? They just might be sneaky this year. You might end up with two big clutches of roughies, and you have 40 babies
I
to get
doubt
rid
it.
of. You never know.
I doubt it. I'm pretty sure I might get two clutches of inlands. Both of them seem like they're gonna go. But roughies, I don't know. Like I'm that creep. I go in and I look inside the cages 3-4 times a night, all the time. Like I'm in that room. Sometimes it can be like 5-6 times. Even if it's for 30 seconds, I go right through all the cages that I know, and I'm like, oh, that one, that one, that one, and so I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I've almost always caught every single copulation. So it's really rare that I've had a clutch that I never saw locks. So
Yeah, I
Can you
would
hear
find that
frogs in the
I
background?
I'd see snakes lock primarily in the early AM or
yeah,
right after dusk. Uh, just kind of anecdotal, kind of the way it was running over here this year. So Dom,
so
let's get an update on the move.
are you sure you want it?
I think
So
you
the
need to let
move.
it
Oh
out.
yeah, I think you need to get it out, buddy.
So the move sucked, and I only moved 3 kilometers away. So it's really not far for the Americans. That's I don't know,
One point something miles.
1.7 miles, whatever. So I really didn't move far, but it was so much work, man. Basically, one day of moving everything, and then the next day was moving the snakes. Moving the snakes was I started at 7 a.m. By the time I started putting the animals in their cages, it was midnight. So it
Wow.
sucked. It was a lot of work. Um, I my snake room is considered like the floor space is about twice the size, so it's way bigger, which I'm super happy because now I have room to move from one cage to another. But the downfall is the ceiling height is not the same. So I had an 8 foot something ceiling. Now I'm dropping down to a 6 foot 1 inches ceiling. So I can walk just under and I have no issues. But everything,
There's
the
no
way my
ceiling
room
fan.
was. Well, okay, so no ceiling fan now. I'd have my head chopped off. But the big issue is that all my stacks were all the way up to 8 feet. So now, when I moved in there, none of my stacks worked anymore because I had to reorganize everything and try to figure all out. So
Okay.
it was a challenge. I ended up not liking the way it was working. I ended up ripping 2 walls, adding a wall, adding a door, moving the sink over in a different place because the stacks of cages didn't work where the sink was. It's been a lot of work, and to top it off, I lost a snake while moving for the first time ever, which
Oh no.
really pissed me off. And I'm still trying to figure out the why. Um, I lost one of my holdback super zebra jungle females. which I'm a little pissed off about because it was the first year that I was breeding her, and she is the third generation from that big girl female that you're talking about. And if she would have
Okay.
had babies, she'd be the fourth generation out, which is kind of cool. Like a lot of people say, like how cool is it to breed your own babies? Well, that would have been generation number 4
Yeah,
from
that's
that
awesome.
lineage. But she died. I found her dead in the pillowcase, which I don't really get it because I packed them around maybe 8:30 in the morning, and she was out of there by midnight that night. So she was in there for a long while. And I packed them in pillowcases, left them at the house, put them in boxes in the heated room at 80, and just left them in there. Set up the entire other room, then came back, picked up the animals, then put them in cages. So realistically, like, yeah. So my two hypotheses on that is that either A, I stacked too many snakes on top of each other in the bin. Like if I put 2 or 3 layers of snakes, maybe it was
Right.
too heavy.
She suffocated.
Or the knot of the pillowcase was way too low to the bottom and she didn't have enough room to move in there, and plus the stacking, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
I don't know. There was feces and piss in the pillowcase, but often when animals die, they let it all out at the same time. So I don't know if it was a cause and effect or if it was a she died and then she defecated or peed on herself right at the end. So,
Right.
but either way, I've moved many, many times, and it's the first time ever I've lost an animal on a move, and it sucks. I don't know.
Well, and it
But-
sounds like a fluky deal, and I hate that you lost that animal. But
It happens.
sometimes it just goes with the territory. Um, but how many times have we sacked up snakes for shows? Fill a box full of snakes in bags. So you wouldn't think suffocation would be an issue, but I guess if air supply was cut off, uh, but it seems
They need-
random. She
Do you
didn't
know how-
overheat.
No, she definitely didn't overheat, and I don't think it would be air supply because, without going too graphic, it's really hard to kill a snake if you deprive it from oxygen. Like I remember when I was researching the best way to euthanize snakes for animals that were sick or deformed, etc., etc. Even with CO2 gas, like it doesn't work. Like you can put a snake in an air chamber for up to an hour in CO2 and it's still alive after. And I did the whole research and like
Okay.
I couldn't figure out the right way to kill a snake because their metabolics. It sounds horrible to kill a snake, right? I'm sorry. To euthanize an animal that is sick, and their metabolism is so slow that their oxygen requirement is so low when they're not moving that they can go for a really, really long time with low oxygen. That's pretty much why you're putting a pinhole in your shipping boxes, right? I honestly don't even know if they actually need it. I'd be willing.
I would
to
say
that
it's
they
more for
probably don't.
temperature regulation, so you don't overheat.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say that. Like even in the winter, you probably still want at least one hole just to make sure, like there's at least, I guess, a little bit of airflow, but also just make sure
Yeah,
it's
I'm
not
with
getting
you, Dom.
200
It's-
degrees in the box.
I've never been concerned about lack of air, but no, it's just odd, the whole thing. I guess it doesn't matter. It's just a fluke. Uh,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it
it
sucks.
just
but
always
it's-
kind of hits you hard, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But except for
definitely
that, I
sucks.
mean, I've been setting up the room for the past couple of days. Today, I've finally reset up the sink. I've moved the walls. And now I'm basically at a point where I changed the room to be just a really long rectangle. So I basically have cages along an entire wall, along another entire wall with a sink at the end, and I made it about as convenient as can be. I'm really happy with it now. Just took a lot of work to get it there.
How
freaking
big
hate
is the
moving
room
them.
now? Like how big, and compared to the old room, just so people get an idea for how much.
So
little
it's
better
10
it
feet
is.
wide. So it's 10 feet wide. So you've got 2 stacks of cages that are 2 feet. So I still have 6 feet in between each cages, which is amazing. And deep, honestly, I can fit 4 So it's just over 16 feet because I can put four stacks of
Okay.
4 feet.
Yeah, that's a touch bigger than my
So,
room now too. Yeah, that's nice.
well, before my room was, I don't know, 8 feet by
Oh yeah.
8 feet by about 12 feet, but it was a triangle. So I only had the two triangles of the wall, and I had no space in the middle to work. It sucked. Like, it was tiny. You can't really see it in the cameras, but the cameras always pointed away that I wouldn't show the other wall to show that I was in a tiny little room.
Right.
But it was small.
Well, good.
Yeah,
You're
no.
you're
So,
gonna like this setup because you're gonna be able to move around in there and just have
oh,
more space to work. Sounds like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no,
it's
you'll
nice.
have.
And I have a window and I have access to cold air if I want it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be way better.
I,
That'll be. It'll be
it's,
cool to see what you can do in that room now too. So that'll
They
be.
yeah.
they make
And
these window fans now that I haven't used mine yet, but I bought one that I can set on a thermostat and it'll shut off at a certain degree. So if you're having trouble like me getting that cold air in your room because it's only getting down to 50 degrees, then hopefully that fan will help kind of crank things up a little bit.
yeah, so that's what I wanted to do was to just like set up like a dryer vent through the foundation and then put a fan that fits in like a 4 inch metal vent and then put it on a thermostat or something like that and have it that when it drops to a certain temperature it stops and so on and something similar. Now I still have that option, or I have the option of simply cracking a window and putting a fan in front, like you're saying as well. So it's nice. Now I have options, and I could literally, I have another entire 16 feet by about 20 feet that I could put more into snake room if I wanted to. Like I have so much room, but I don't want to honestly. I'm capped at the amount of animals is where I'm happy at. So the only thing I might do is I might build a small like 8 by 8 room that would be just my cold room, where I would actually make it really cold for just diamonds and maybe bread
Actually,
leaves
that'd be
because
cool.
I've
Well, you
stopped.
could keep. Well, you
Yeah,
could do inlands, diamonds, and Brettles in there, and just keep them
yeah,
there.
but my
Just have
inlands
like
do
one stack
perfectly
of
fine
cages.
without going.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I don't know. Some like Dr. J talks about kind of doing them cool too, but yeah, no, that'd be cool though, right? You could always do like a separate room, or even just have them out just outside the room in that other area where it probably is gonna fluctuate quite a bit more, kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, no, that'll be fun though. That'll be cool to see what you can do in that room, and you're probably gonna fiddle with it a bit more still.
yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
take a
all
little
kinds of
while.
possibilities. Well, I'm glad you got moved. I know that's a big hurdle, so congratulations.
Oh, thank you, but it's nowhere near done. I've been just buying shit. I think I've spent like 4 grand of stupid things that I needed from. Anyway, it's a long
It's
story, but I've
expensive to
spent.
move.
The
Yeah,
the fun
Yeah,
is
no, I
there's
get
moving
you.
and getting another house.
there's my wallet has like this gigantic hole in the middle. It's insane. So
Oh,
Tony, we're getting at the 2 hour mark. Let's go into what are your most anticipated breedings for this year, and how many pairs are you doing?
Well, this will be my biggest, the most pairings I've done in a long, long time. I did 4 pairings, uh, and it looks like they may all go. So careful what you ask for. Uh, I think it's going to be a stellar year on all fronts, but to produce 100% diamonds is going to be epic for me. Uh, and I may produce some reduced pattern diamonds in there. So that would even be more exciting. But I have some crosses now that everything's starting to move up in the diamond blood percentage, which was a goal of mine. So I'll be producing a lot of 75% diamonds that have hopefully reduced pattern gene in them, and zebra, and jag, and caramel. So we're going to have a nice little variety of cool stuff for sure.
Very nice. What's your take on reduced pattern diamonds? What do you think? Do you think it's incomplete, dominant? Do you think it's recessive? What's your
I
thought?
think it's recessive. I did a pairing in 24 with a reduced pattern diamond male to a 50% diamond female, 50% jungle, and all her babies, uh, or I should say, none of her babies had that gene. Uh, and so I think just from what I've seen is that when they're popping out these reduced pattern clutches, that there's a het in there. Uh, and it just makes sense on some fronts as far as how many people have produced. But we are starting to see more of them in these crosses. And again, it just man blows these crosses away. It just creates this really unique looking animal. So kind of like some stuff you've seen that Don's produced. I think we're just going to really see some unique carpets coming out in the next 5 or 10 years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I know one of my buddies got some of those his Favel or Neon line Jags that I'm not sure if they have Stardust in it, but there's definitely like zebra, jungle, jag kind of stuff going on there that like they look super neat still.
And
Like
that Stardust
bright
and reduced
yellow.
pattern, yeah, are the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Yeah, I refer to them as like the same thing, just interchangeably,
Yeah,
right?
I kind of like the Stardust name a little better. It sounds a little fancier. I just got
Sounds a
back
bit
from
bit
Las
more like
Vegas
a
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
A bit more like a
sound like you just
real gene almost. Like the reduced pattern almost sounds like it's like I don't know what it is kind of thing, right? When the Stardust almost makes it sound like it's actually like a full on morph. Like
this
I think we can say it is at this point.
to me it's the same
but
thing.
those
Whether you say
snakes. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But I think that we just haven't seen enough. Uh, we've seen some of these that are really high expression, and I think they're just really unique looking animals. But there's a lot of variability in that gene, and so I think that we're going to start to see a lot more and see what that gene's really capable of doing.
in that clutch, how many eggs there? How many babies hatched out?
She is one of those that lays about the same amount, and she's had several clutches for me. So just off the top of my head, it right around 17.
Okay, so out of 17, you got zero reduced pattern, and you're certain there was no reduced
Right,
pattern in there?
100% certain.
Okay, so because if it was incomplete dominant, then statistically speaking, that would be almost like impossible to get to not have any. So yeah, it's an interesting. So then the thought that people pop out these reduced patterns all the time with only one reduced pattern diamond visual. The thought is more that probably everybody's got hets everywhere because they came in on every single shipment when they first got in, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Well,
They're all
and you've
different
heard that,
lines.
right,
Yeah.
that we probably have some animals that are related to one another somewhere. So I just think that reduced pattern gene was in that initial group. Uh, but we've seen San Diego zoo line produce a lot of reduced patterns. Uh, that Gary Valley line has produced reduced patterns. So we're seeing it in a variety of different lines, and I'm not the most well versed on that, but it just seems to be popping out more and more. Uh,
Yeah,
now
I
we
was just
did have
curious.
there was a guy in Europe that bred a diamond male to a super zebra, and he produced some reduced patterns in that clutch. So I can't explain that. Uh, maybe there was some diamond blood in there from a long time ago on that jungle side that produced that super zero. But it's
And
definitely
there was
interesting.
no reduced pattern in the diamond.
Nope, it was not. It did. And if it was, it was extremely low expression.
Hmm. Yeah, that does make sense.
And the diamond percentage was 50%. He didn't think the female had any in there.
I guess if it's a het and they both were carrying a het, it could be possible that way. But
Yeah, and I do
yeah,
think he repeated the pairing this year. Uh, and so hopefully we'll see more of that come out. But he got about a quarter of the clutch.
the only thing I'd say is maybe reduced pattern in diamonds is how am I going to say this? like it plays or enhances or has an effect with another gene from like the jungles. Let's say, like you were saying, the zebra with the reduced pattern creates a super zebra looking animal. So sometimes maybe the two morphs are so closely related, are so close on the alleles that they kind of work together to create something different. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
I like your thought on that, and in some way, that
That's
reduced pattern and the zebra kind of work the same. If they're going to crank out that
yeah.
solid colored animal,
I
and
I
I didn't mention this before, but one of the animals did have a kink in its tail. So
hmm.
here you're seeing that
Hmm.
super zebra trait.
That's
Because I
interesting.
know in ball pythons there's certain genes that if you have only one of this gene and one of this gene, it creates a different phenotype. Or this gene with another
Yeah,
gene will
like
create the super
that's the
form
whole
of that.
Lucy complex stuff, right? Where you can breed like out of like these 20 morphs. Like you'll get different variations of Lucy depending on or leucistic depending on what you're kind of going for, whether it's blue eye or black eye or whatnot. But they all kind of have a similar thing, or some actually have this pattern coming through a little bit. But when they're born, they're all a white snake with either blue or black eyes, kind of thing, right? So but I want to say it probably is more of like a recessive or just because it's a pied. Like it's kind of like a just like stonewash, right? Where it's like almost like a low expression pied gene, where I think it maybe it is more of a like I want to say it's more like incomplete dominant, but I'm kind of thinking it's more maybe just recessive, like Tony's thinking, and they're all just all possible hets kind of thing, and you just luck out on what pairing you're doing, kind of like how they discovered stonewash in the first place, right?
It's a cool
Yeah.
gene. I really just stoked to see what it really does. Uh,
Well, somebody
it's
needs
kind
to
of one of
do.
those things that feels like how has it not been done? And that's one of the reasons that I did crosses. I mentioned that I had been exposed to them, you know, decades ago, but I just feel like there was just unstuff. There was stuff undone. Uh, why has nobody added this? Uh, I want to see it. Uh, so hopefully
Oh
that'll
yeah,
kind of spark some people to kind of do
maybe
some different things like that.
throw a hypo stonewash red light on.
Well, that's what Don's done. Absolutely.
I don't know if he has pure like I'm not sure if he even has hypobred light. Like maybe he does.
Yeah, I
There's a
don't
good
know about
chance
the
he does.
hypo end, but
But
that stonewash, those freaky stonewashed he produced, those
oh
have
yeah,
reduced pattern dominant.
Yeah.
that would make sense. That's probably why they're some of them are more funky than others.
See, because Tony, my female is reduced pattern, which is one of my favorite morphs of all time, and my male is just a beautiful San Diego zoo line. So I'm hoping to see if I can pop out reduced pattern if once they do breed, but I don't know, right?
Right.
And I like if my male would be a het, then it would happen. And I know of one person in Canada that bred him this year, and he bred reduced pattern to reduced pattern, and 100% of the babies were reduced pattern. But that one
Yes.
doesn't really help because I feel like if it was incomplete dominant, you'd still have the same results, right?
Right.
So
No, that is interesting though. He needs to work with those pairs in another direction and breed that to a non-visual. All stuff I'm going to do as well, but yeah, I would love to see that clutch and the variability in all those reduced patterns and just how much of the neck was showing. Uh, Josh Easter sold me one that was a 23, and it's pretty low expression, but I think that look is just very desirable. Uh, it's just real small rosettes everywhere, or not even rosettes, just tip scales. And then you have kind of a line of the rosettes down the back. But just the variation in these diamonds is just, like we hear all the time, there's just no ugly diamond. But I think we've not really bred for uh, visual traits as much in the U.S. as they have in Australia, and I think that we need to do that. We need to put some of this high yellow stuff together, and some of the high black that's not tipped out as much. Just think there's a
I
whole
think
new uh, a whole new selection of diamonds that we can have access to.
It just seems like people struggle to breed diamonds, right? There's never that many clutches of them every year. So there's
Yeah,
obviously more in the
Well,
States, but
other
like in
than
Canada, there's so
yeah,
few.
yeah, that's true.
I think the secret's out, Dom. I think each
Yeah.
year we have less and less issues reproducing them. But again, this is my first year doing it, and
But
maybe I'm just getting a little more confident each year.
then you got guys like Greg Heim though, right? That breed him like 10, 10, probably 10 pairs a year, and he just sits in his bunker, and you have to
I don't think
spend
he
lots of
breeds
money
that
with him.
many.
No,
Yeah, I think like three or
I don't
four
know how many he
clutches.
breeds,
Yeah,
breeds, but
but
he's one of those guys that's almost like an Ed Marino, where it's like if you know, you know, but you got to spend money to kind of get in that
I,
get in that door kind of thing.
well, and I'm glad they've held their value. I think we need some higher end stuff like that in the carpet world. Um,
Oh, for sure, and they deserve it too, right? Like that, like that's they're special animals that kind of deserve to be held. Like I guess all animals deserve to be held at a certain level, but when it's harder to find them than it used to be, kind of thing. Like apparently diamonds used to be like there used to be a breeder up here in Calgary that bred them, and they were like a few $100 a piece, kind of thing, like 15, 20 years ago, and then everybody
well,
passed on
it's
them, and then now there's none around.
heck yeah, and it's expensive to breed snakes. I mean, you guys know we from electricity to rodents, and so when you buy a nice breeding stock, you need to be able to be proud of those animals, and get a good price for them. I 100% think that's great for the hobby.
Oh, for sure. Alrighty, Dom. Do you have any final questions for Tony?
I'm not sure here. Tony. So,
I'm ready for bed too,
if
guys. It's okay.
all right, so just one final question: if you can bring in one more animal in your collection, what will it be?
I would love to work with Brazilian rainbow boas again, uh, but I would have to have some space to do that outside of this room. So that's what I would have to figure out first. But I had really good
And
success with them and really enjoyed breeding those back in the day.
oh yeah, those are cool. Any morph you would want to keep, or just plain nice
You
red
know,
Brazilians?
I like the high reds, like I Blackner produces. I like the hypos. Uh, but if I could find something that had some aberrancy on the side, I'd love to breed something that had really good color and some aberrant pattern as well. I'm sure it's possible. There are so
Oh,
many
there.
really cool
What's his name from
Brazilians out there.
California? Lisa would know him in the comments, but he just passed away. Dave Collins, I think. He had
Yes,
tons of
and
funky
someone
looking
took over
emerald
his
or
collection, I
Brazil.
heard.
Yeah,
He did great stuff for Brazilian rainbows.
he was like the main guy, I think, for line breeding. Like he came up with like probably like more than a handful of different traits that he was able to reproduce over 30 years, kind of thing. And
But those are cool animals and super easy to work with. Uh,
oh yeah,
they just don't need to get that cold. I'd get them down into the low 60s, but they do good at about 75 degrees. Just seem to breed really easily when I
oh
used to
yeah,
keep them.
yeah, for sure. I think Shan bred them for quite a few years too, right, Don?
Yeah, he did for many years. It was basically his. It's what paid for his pretty much all of the animals in his collection. He bred them so many times. They were an easy two
Oh, they
hundred bucks a
sell so
pop.
well.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
sell
and
really well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's a
I
great
think
pet snake.
yeah, I think we're my buddy's able to sell them for 350 retail at shows. And as long as you have nice animals, kind of thing, like, they go all day long. You can never have too many of them, I don't think.
And they look beautiful just the day they're born. So you don't have to deal with raising them up for 5 sheds like you do with these carpets to figure out what they're going to look like.
Yeah, like worst case, you send a picture of the parents, kind of thing, like whether they're more orange than red, kind of thing. But like
The
they're all
babies
gonna turn
usually
out
look
looking
better than the
nice.
parents, right? Like it's the second they come out of that sack, man, they're just bright, brilliant looking, and eat like day one. You don't even have to wait for them to shed.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, they're fantastic.
Well,
Alrighty,
guys,
Dom.
it was great talking to y'all, and I tell you, I really appreciate what y'all are doing. Dom,
Thanks, Tony.
Michael, uh, Shan, sorry I missed you, but I really support your cause, and I'm just thankful we got guys like you out here spreading the good word and helping promote this hobby. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Well, Tony, yeah, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Love talking to people who, Morelia heads. I love it. Where can people reach you if they want to get a hold of you?
Primarily Instagram is where I do most of my posting. So Tony Hurt 3 is where you'd find me there. I'm on Facebook as well under Tony Hurt. I'm not too hard to find.
There you go. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Next week, Cody Joe. We've already had the show with Cody Joe, which completely got disappeared and never could be uploaded. It was amazing. We will redo an entire 3-hour conversation again because he was a great guest and we need to have him back on.
The second time will
Everybody,
be even better.
there you go. Because I'm so old that I already forgot what I asked him, so I can restart all the way from the start.
I bet.
Tony, again, thank you for coming on. It was great. If you don't mind, don't hang up after we log off, just in case your upload is not done. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week for another episode of Reptile Rejects. All right, have a good night, Jets.
See you, fellas.